Good morning, everyone. How are you? It's Megan from Hillcrest joining you for story time. I'm going to be reading two different books this morning, Chelly and the Great Sandbox Adventure. And then we'll also be reading Winnie the Pooh story time. And if you have these books at home, go ahead and grab them and we can read them together. If not, that's okay too. I'll go ahead and get started. Let's go ahead and start with Winnie the Pooh. All right. Winnie the Pooh lived in an enchanted place called the 100-Acre Wood. One day, when Pooh heard his poo-coo clock, he knew it was time for something. Think, 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 said Pooh. Oh yes, time for my stoutness exercise. Pooh stood in front of his mirror and tried to touch his toes. He stretched down and then up and then down, and then he stretched up once more. Now, all of that exercise made Pooh very hungry. Yes, I'm rumbly in my tumbly. Time for something sweet, said Pooh. So he went to his cupboard, got a honey jar, and inspected his honey supply. Oh, bother! Empty again. Pooh put his head in the jar and tried to get the last little bit of honey. And when he heard a buzzing sound, Pooh followed a buzzing bee outside to a nearby tree. High in a hole near the top sat a beehive full of honey. So Pooh began to climb the honey tree. He climbed and he climbed, and just as Pooh neared the beehive, the branch he was standing on broke, and down went Pooh into a very prickly bush below. Oh, bother! Pooh brushed the prickles from his nose and decided to ask Christopher Robin for help. Christopher Robin, I was wondering if you had such a thing as a balloon about you. Christopher Robin happened to have just a fly up like a bee up to the honey tree. So Christopher Robin brought Pooh rose higher and higher toward the hole in the top of the honey tree. While he hovered outside, a bee flew at Pooh and stung him directly on his softest spot. Oh! Pooh swung left, then right, then, quite by accident, swung his very sore bottom into a hole in the tree. In no time, the bees inside created a mighty force, and they pushed Pooh out of the hole, sending him shooting across the sky. But Pooh was not the sort to give up easily. When he put his mind to honey, he would think of nothing else. So he made his way to Rabbit's house for a light honey snack. Hello, Rabbit. Rabbit wasn't very happy to see Pooh, but when Pooh didn't go away, Rabbit let him stay. Oh, hello, Pooh Bear, said Rabbit. What a pleasant surprise. How about lunch? He reluctantly pulled out a honey jar and offered it to Pooh. Thank you, Rabbit. Just a small helping, if you please. Pooh helped himself to Rabbit's honey, and he ate and he ate and he ate and he ate until there was no honey left. Finally, in a rather sticky voice, he excused himself. I must be going now. Goodbye, Rabbit. Pooh thanked Rabbit, and he turned to leave. But Pooh's tummy, full of honey, only got halfway out of Rabbit's small front door and would go no further. Oh, help and bother! Rabbit pushed at Pooh's round bottom, but it was no use. Oh dear, oh gracious, there was only one thing to do. I'll get Christopher Robin." And Rabbit hurried out of the side door to find his friend. In a short time, Rabbit returned with Christopher Robin. "Cheer up, Pooh Bear. We'll get you out." Christopher Robin took a hold of Pooh, and Rabbit took a hold of Christopher Robin. And on the count of 3, 1, 2, 3, they pulled as hard as they could, but Pooh wouldn't budge. "It's no use," Christopher Robin shook his head. "Pooh Bear, there's only one thing we can do. Wait for you to get thin again." One morning, when Rabbit was beginning to think he might never be able to use his front door again, it happened. He leaned up against Pooh's bottom and he budged. "Christopher Crabbin, Christopher Rabbin. He bidged, he badged, he booged, he budged." Almost everyone in the 100-acre wood came running to help. From inside the house, Rabbit pushed frantically on his end of Pooh, while outside everyone else pulled on the other side. Heave ho! Heave ho! They tugged and they pushed and they pulled and they shoved with all their might until suddenly Pooh shot out of the door and flew high overhead into the treetops, where he landed in the hole in the honey tree. Christopher Robin called down from below, "Don't worry, Pooh. We'll get you out." No hurry. Take your time," called Pooh. The end. Would you say Pooh got himself into a very sticky situation? Pretty funny, huh? All right, let's go ahead and read Chelly and the Great Sandbox Adventure. It was a sunny day at the playground, and Chelly and Bag were playing in the sandbox. "Uh-oh," said Chelly. "I just lost my red truck in the sand." "Oh, Bag," he yelled, "it's my favorite toy. We have to look for it." So Chelly and Bag started to dig. Kim came over and offered to help. "Don't worry, Chelly," she said. "If we work together, I'm sure we'll find your truck." Chelly reached into Bag and took out a cardboard tube. He used it to look all around the sandbox. Kim took a spoon from Bag and started digging with it. Two more kids came over to help. They brought sand pills and shovels with them. Then a chef walked by and asked what they were looking for. When Chelly explained what had happened, the chef also offered to help. "I have just the thing," he cried, and held up a big colander. "We can use it to sift the sand." Some other kids who were having a picnic said they would help Chelly search for his truck. A couple of them saved the straws from their milk cartons. They used them to blow the sand out of the way. A woman walking some dogs stopped to see what was going on. "These dogs are dynamite diggers," she said proudly, and they joined in the search too. "Out of the way, please. Step aside for a moment, everyone." Chelly turned around to see who had spoken. It was Waldo Muckle, the inventor. "I heard that Chelly lost his truck," said Waldo. So I've invented this super duper truck retrieval scooper to help find it." A few minutes later, some scientists taking a walk in the neighborhood stopped by to help. Then a zookeeper happened by with a big elephant. They were on their way to the zoo. Need help? The zookeeper asked. She handed the elephant a little broom. The elephant curled its trunk around the broom and began to whisk sand out of the way. Some construction workers, taking a lunch break, strolled past and offered to help. We're very good at digging, said the foreman. Now everyone from the neighborhood was helping Chelly look for his toy truck. Everybody worked together. They searched and sifted through the entire sandbox. Finally, just a tiny pile of sand remained in the box. Chelly scooped it up. Something red glinted in his hands. My truck, he cried. Your truck, the group shouted. They all whistled and cheered and clapped one another on the back. Thanks so much for helping, everybody, said Chelly happily. Then everyone joined in to help put the sand back in the sandbox. Kim sat down next to Chelly. See what you can do when everyone works together? She said. Chelly smiled. I sure do, Kim, he answered, and then he stopped smiling. Uh-oh, he said softly. I think I've lost my blue car. The end. What do you think about Chelly and his great sandbox adventure? There's lots of characters in that neighborhood, huh? A zookeeper, scientists, pretty neat. Well, thank you for joining me for story time. I hope you get out and enjoy the sunshine today and just have an all-around wonderful day. Thanks. We'll see you later. Bye.